Greetings fellow cultivators. Welcome to Audio Nova. Remember to like and subscribe to support the journey. Today, we're diving into the story of what's the point of cultivating immortality if you don't have money. Bang. Bang. In the dark, concrete room, accompanied by a series of low roars and impacts, Xiong finally endured the intense pain coming from his body, and finished the second round of the 36 forms of body tempering. He collapsed to the ground with a bang, gasping for breath. Feeling his hands and feet still trembling slightly, Xiong felt that his body had reached its limit, and every inch of his flesh and blood did not want to move. But in this state, the chill and the voice in his mind came again. Please abide by the ritual agreement, work hard to fulfill your wish, do not deliberately slack off or delay. 10. Damn it. Xiong cursed in his heart, I've reached my limit. I really can't practice anymore. I have classes tomorrow. But no matter what he said or how he explained, the countdown did not stop or hesitate at all. Seeing the countdown approaching the end, Xiong could only curse and climb up again to practice. Under normal circumstances, most people find it difficult to push themselves to their true limit when exercising alone. Only under the supervision and strict requirements of a master, teacher, or coach can people often exercise to their limit, time and time again. The same was true for Xiong. If he were alone, he would probably have practiced the 36 forms of body tempering once or twice today and then be too tired to move, resting directly. But the power of the ritual was like a demon coach at this moment, watching him at all times and threatening him with death, urging him to continue exercising without the slightest laziness. The third round. The fourth round. The fifth round. All the way to the 10th round. Under the repeated threats of the ritual power, Xiong practiced the 36 forms of body tempering a full 10 times. During this period, the flesh and blood all over his body went from tearing pain to stinging pain, and finally seemed to gradually become numb. He even felt that his hands and feet were about to disappear. At the same time, every trace of mana in his body was forced out, constantly injecting into those damaged flesh and blood. After completing these 10 rounds of exercise, Xiong felt that both the flesh and blood all over his body, and the mana in his body, were like being squeezed dry, like a rag that had been wrung thousands of times, unable to produce a single drop. At this moment, Xiong just wanted to lie on the ground like this, too lazy to move even a little bit. To his relief, the voice that had been urging him to death did not sound again this time, as if it believed that he had truly done his best at this moment, and had truly reached his limit. And in the process of exercising just now, Xiong also slightly figured out the characteristics of this ritual power. This thing is a bit like an artificial idiot, without real intelligence, just operating according to certain rules. Xiong had seen similar things in the movies, TV shows, and news of Kung Fu. Those powerful magical treasures contained artifact spirits, and these artifact spirits were like artificial intelligence, with a certain degree of intelligence to deal with various problems. Even those powerful enough artifact spirits had intelligence no less than that of humans. At this moment, after confirming that the ritual power did not come out to force him to exercise, Xiong was finally able to relax his mind and feel the effect of the upgraded 36 forms of body tempering. Yes, just after Xiong completed the 10th round of the 36 forms of body tempering, he could feel that this martial art had been upgraded. In that instant, his understanding and comprehension of the 36 forms of body tempering became deeper. Many details that he had not noticed or did not understand before appeared in his mind in that instant like a flash of lightning. And on the feather book, the initial 36 forms of body tempering level 1 also became 36 forms of body tempering level 2. As long as I practice 20 more times, I can raise the 36 forms of body tempering to level 3. If I keep practicing like this, won't I be able to push the 36 forms of body tempering to level 10 soon? Xiong knew that in the key refining realm, the highest level of martial arts and Taoist techniques could only be cultivated to level 10. At that time, even if I don't use acupuncture or take medicine, the effect of exercise will not be less than by Zhenjin and the others. No, it may be far beyond. If this goes on, it's not impossible to raise my physical strength to the first place in the grade in the future. Thinking of this, Xiong felt excited and felt that his body was not so painful anymore. Terrifying, my potential is really too terrifying. Once it is stimulated by the evil god, I will simply soar into the sky. With beautiful visions for the future, Xiong, whose body had been exercised to its limit, gradually fell into sleepiness and fell asleep unconsciously. He slept until 5 o'clock the next morning, when Xiong Yu woke up instinctively, just like the countless times he had woken up at 5 o'clock in the past. But today his limbs were sore and weak, and even opening his eyes was extremely difficult. At this moment, although Xiong Yu had woken up, he didn't want to get up at all, just wanting to sleep for a while longer, even if this was on the concrete floor of an unfinished building. 5 minutes. Just sleep for 5 more minutes. But just as Xiong Yu wanted to stay in bed, a chilling voice sounded again, from the bottom of his heart. Please abide by the ritual agreement, work hard to fulfill your wish, do not deliberately slack off or delay. 10. Damn it. Xiong Yu suddenly opened his eyes, listening carefully to the voice continuing to sound, and after repeatedly confirming that this was not an illusion, he could only sit up cursing. At this moment, Xiong Yu suddenly realized that things might be more serious than he had originally thought. In the future, as long as it is related to studying, cultivation, going to college, or work, that is, related to studying, cultivation, working, and making money to satisfy the second wish. I can't be a little bit slack. 24-hour supervision, ha. With a body full of fatigue and exhaustion, Xiong Yu could only rush back to the rented house. Feeling the greasiness and sweat all over his body, he quickly paid the 323.4 water bill, and took a shower in 5 minutes, then rushed to the bus stop. Looking up at the display screen on the platform, Xiong Yu thought, the next bus will arrive in 10 minutes? Finding a pole to lean on, he thought to himself, rest for a while, it's good that broken thing didn't tell me to seize this time to practice. Xiong Yu regretted it as soon as he thought of this. Because a chill surged from his heart, and that nightmare-like voice sounded again. Please abide by the ritual agreement, work hard to fulfill your wish, do not deliberately slack off or delay. 10. Xiong Yu cursed in his heart, is this thing monitoring the thoughts in my head, all the time? As long as I think of a way to work hard, and don't do it, it will kill me. So, in the countdown, Xiong Yu could only endure his exhaustion and start practicing the 36 forms of body, tempering, in the eyes of people around him, some surprised, some puzzled, some admiring, and some indifferent. Bang. With the last punch, Xiong Yu, covered in sweat, collapsed to the ground again. Looking at the bus getting closer and closer in the distance, he was extremely thankful in his heart, it's finally here. And today, Xiong Yu even found a seat on the bus, which made him even happier. I can finally rest properly. I'll take a nap, the bus can't force me to practice, right? Unless it's breathing exercises. As soon as he thought of the word, breathing exercises, Xiong Yu felt bad. Please abide by the ritual agreement, work hard to fulfill your wish, do not deliberately slack off or delay. 10. Sure enough, the countdown sounded again, forcing Xiong Yu to drive, while performing basic breathing exercises. Performing breathing exercises while riding the bus sounded very simple and cost-effective, but even the former Xiong Yu gave up after trying it a few times. One reason was that the environment on the bus was too noisy, making it difficult to concentrate. The second and most important point was that Xiong Yu, who got up early every day, was too tired. Having a rare seat, he just wanted to take a nap and couldn't muster the energy to do breathing exercises at all. The few times he tried, he often started to doze off after doing breathing exercises for a while. But at this moment, under the coercion of the ritual power, Xiong Yu could only try to do breathing exercises, and in the process of constantly fighting sleepiness, he tried to absorb the spiritual energy between heaven and earth with each breath. At this time, he also completely understood that things were much more serious than he had previously thought. This is not ordinary 24-hour supervision, this is forcing me to death at all times. As long as this thing is still on me, then all laziness, slacking off, entertainment, enjoyment, and relaxation will leave me. There will be no more weekends, let alone holidays. My life will be dedicated to studying, cultivation, and work every minute and every second. Until the second wish is fulfilled. Xiong Yu unconsciously hugged his head, I will become a complete learning machine and working beast, with no free time at all. I will be a try-hard for the rest of my life. Until I am completely crushed by this pressure. He sighed in his heart, if this is the case for the rest of my life, then what's the use of achieving immortality, and living for hundreds of years more? Living for how many more years, is just suffering for how many more years? Heavens! The surrounding passengers all looked at Xiong Yu, who was hugging his head with a painful expression. But Xiong Yu couldn't care about these anymore. With the countdown of "please abide by the ritual agreement" sounding again, he had already straightened his posture again, suppressing the sadness in his heart and continuing to operate the basic breathing exercises. But at the same time, a determination gradually rose in Xiong Yu's heart. In fact, until this morning, Xiong Yu, who had come to this world, was somewhat confused. Although he wanted to get into a famous university, join a large sect, and achieve immortality, it was difficult to say how much of it was influenced by the original owner's memory, and was his choice following the inertia of life. Until this moment, Xiong Yu finally had a goal, something he was determined to accomplish, no matter what. That is to become strong enough to completely remove this ritual power that is forcing him. Xiong Yu wants freedom. On the bus. After obtaining the feather book, Xiong Yu thought his future life would be feather book. Let me see where your limits are. Who knew that in the blink of an eye, it would turn into ritual Xiong Yu? Let me see where your limits are. But since things have come to this, the only way Xiong Yu can think of to undo the power of the ritual is to make himself stronger. So, at this moment, he can only cultivate diligently. With each breath, strands of spiritual energy from heaven and earth surged into his body, gathering in his dantian qi, and being refined into mana drop by drop, solidifying his foundation in the path of immortality. However, thinking about the process of practicing the 36 forms of physical fitness last night, Xiong Yu wanted to follow the same method to see if he could quickly raise the level of the basic breathing technique as well. With a thought, the feather book unfolded, and Xiong Yu focused his attention slightly on basic breathing technique, level 1 on the page, immediately dragging basic breathing technique level 1. But just as he dragged basic breathing technique level 1 towards his character portrait, a realization outflow from the feather book. You can only focus on improving one skill at a time. Once switched, you have to wait a day before you can switch again. Xiong Yu mentally named this function of the feather book specialization. At this moment, he immediately understood that the specialized skill could be quickly improved, but only one skill could be specialized in for a period of time, and after switching skills, he had to wait a day before switching again. That is to say, if I switch the specialization from the 36 forms of physical fitness to the basic breathing technique now, then the basic breathing technique can be quickly improved through practice, but the 36 forms of physical fitness will return to its original normal practice efficiency. Unless I switch the 36 forms of physical fitness back after a day. Thinking of the situation in physical education class, Xiong Yu decided not to switch for the time being, and continued to focus on improving the 36 forms of physical fitness. In the blink of an eye, time passed, and Xiong Yu maintained the basic breathing technique until the moment before getting off the bus. Inside the school cafeteria, Bai Zhenjin, holding a plate, came to Xiong Yu, who was like a walking corpse, sat down in front of him, took a curious look at him, and said faintly, "Stayed up all night yesterday." Xiong Yu swallowed the big meat bun in his hand in one bite, and cursed, "I was diligently exercising until late at night." Bai Zhenjin's face was expressionless, but she said without any scruples, "Alas, you are the only one in the whole school who hasn't had sterilization surgery. I have long advised you not to save that 20,000 yuan. Look how much time, energy, and protein you have wasted." Xiong Yu swallowed an egg in one bite, and smiled confidently. "Bai Zhenjin, let me tell you something, I feel that my current self-discipline and potential are shocking even to myself. Your position as the first in the grade will soon be taken by me." Hearing this, Bai Zhenjin quickly rolled her eyes, and her delicate little mouth said mercilessly, "Yuzi, it's okay to say these kinds of self-deprecating words in front of me. If outsiders hear it, I'm afraid they will laugh until they pee. What you have to compete for is the first place in the overall grade, not the first place in the grade's vasectomy rate. Your advantage of not being sterilized is useless." Xiong Yu shook his head speechlessly, thinking, "Ah Zhen, this guy usually acts so cold, but dares to say anything in private, huh?" Speaking of him being the only student in the whole school who hasn't had sterilization surgery, Xiong Yu is no longer so surprised about it. He has gradually become accustomed to the madness of this broken world and broken school. However, thinking of this at this moment, a doubt suddenly outflowing Xiong Yu's heart: why can I enroll in school without having sterilization surgery? Just then, Zhu Tianyi also came over with a plate, and sat down, also curiously looking at Xiong Yu. "You look very tired. Did you study all night yesterday?" Zhang Yu shook his head and said, I practiced the 36 forms of physical fitness for a while and I had some insights. While eating and chatting, Zhang Yu suddenly made a discovery. It seemed that after Zhitiani came, Bai Zhenjin spoke much less and seemed to have turned back into the cold, taciturn top student. After eating breakfast, the three of them walked along the playground towards the classroom. Zhang Yu occasionally opened his palm, watching the feather book emerge and disappear from his palm. As expected, everyone can't see the feather book. Just then, a bang came from the direction of the teaching building, followed by bursts of loud shouts. A circle of people had already gathered in front of the main entrance of the teaching building. The surrounding people were talking about it. Some familiar people were talking about relevant gossip. This is Lu Xiao from class 3 of the 3rd year. He used to be in the demonstration class. It seems that his grades have been declining, and he's about to be dropped from the class, right? Lu Xiao, he was in the top 10 of the grade when he was in the 2nd year. Some poverty discriminators began to attack indiscriminately. What if he had good grades in the 2nd year? Poor people are poor people. Have you seen how many poor people can stay in the demonstration class in the 3rd year? Poor people are not suitable for cultivating immortality. Some people with serious grade discrimination began their own comments. HMPH, it's not enough to jump down from the 6th floor. As expected, he's a bad student. If the top student from the 3rd year demonstration class jumps down, I think they would have to jump from at least the 10th floor. Bai Zhenjin, looking at this scene, sighed, another 3rd year student. Zhu Tianyi said, this is the 3rd case this year, right? It seems that the pressure on this year's 3rd year students is very high. Jiang Yu suddenly asked, is he very poor? Bai Zhenjin glanced at him, not knowing whether it was admonishment or sigh, and said faintly he must have borrowed a lot. Anyway, if you have to borrow money to study, you must not be a rich person. Students like this often have good grades at the beginning, when they enter Xiong high school. But generally, after reaching the 3rd year, they gradually can't keep up with the rich kids in the same class, and in the end, they can only be admitted to some 2nd or 3rd-rate universities. As for the 10 grades, it seems that no commoner has been admitted to them in Xiong High School for more than 10 years, right? Zhang Yu was slightly stunned when he heard this. He knew that the so-called 10 grades referred to the universities directly under the 10 grades sects, which were also the top 10 universities and were the dream schools of countless students. But what he didn't know was that no commoner had been admitted to the 10 grades from Xiong High School for more than 10 years. He thought to himself, is it because of insufficient resources? Not enough money? Zhang Yu recalled some legends about those wealthy students. It was said that many top-notch tutoring teachers, secret tutoring manuals, high-end cultivation methods, and laboratory drugs were only circulated within the circles of the rich and never revealed to the poor. Zhang Yu thought to himself, if my potential hadn't been stimulated, I might have ended up on this path in the future. Although the incident caused a wave of heated discussion for students who were busy studying and cultivating every day, it was just some gossip during breaks. Soon, no one cared about this matter anymore. The students continued to devote themselves to their daily immortal cultivation, striving for their future lives. Although they had just come of age, everyone already knew a cruel fact. Based on different scores, they would enter different universities. Based on different universities, their future sex would be determined. Based on different sex, a person's life would be determined. Regardless of whether the classmates around them were close or not, if their grades were different, they would go their separate ways. In the blink of an eye, it was time for the 3 consecutive physical education classes again. After refusing the physical education teacher Wang Hai's sales pitch once again, Zhang Yu didn't know if it was his imagination, but he felt that the way the other party looked at him seemed to have changed. But he really had no choice. Whether it was a matter of money or health, he could no longer get injections. The newest novels are first published on 6/9 Shubiye. So Zhang Yu could only pretend not to see it and continue his practice. Body strengthening 36 forms level 2. Counting the workout in front of the station, Zhang Yu only needed to practice the body strengthening 36 forms, 19, more times to level up. This made him particularly motivated in the following exercise process, urging his muscles over and over again, constantly draining every inch of his magic power. And even if he wanted to slow down sometimes, wanting to rest for a while, he would quickly cheer up and continue to work hard, under the reminder of the ritual power. Accompanied by the tearing pain all over his body, breaking through the limit again and again, the threat of life and death again and again. It can be described as painful and happy. After spending more than 2 class periods, Xiong Yu finally collapsed completely on the ground, not wanting to move at all. Body strengthening 36 forms level 2. I've reached my limit. The ritual power did not continue to force him, obviously thinking that he had also reached his limit. But Xiong Yu was not frustrated at all. In just 2 days, he was about to upgrade a basic martial art from level 1 to level 3. This was something that Xiong Yu in the past would never have dared to imagine. If I hadn't practiced extra last night, I should be able to complete the 3 physical education classes, right? But with this damn ritual forcing me, making me seize every minute and every second to exercise, then I'm afraid that in the future, practicing extra at night will make me so tired in physical education class that I can only rest and not exercise. It will be a normal occurrence. Xiong Yu felt that this was like in his previous life, when some people frantically took extra classes and studied on their own at night, and slept in class during the day. Obviously, it was not a healthy routine. It's all this mentally retarded ritual's fault. It can't even distinguish the time and place. Just then, Xiong Yu, who was lying on the ground, suddenly felt his body covered by a shadow, as if a mountain was blocking his head. Wang Hai looked at Xiong Yu on the ground, and said coldly, "What are you doing during physical education class?" Jiang Yu quickly said, "Teacher, I practiced extra last night, and now I can't exercise anymore." Feeling Wang Hai's unkind expression, Xiong Yu added, "My body strengthening 36 forms broke through last night and has been upgraded to level 2. The reason why there is such an explanation is because Xiong Yu knows that in this school, that only values grades, most teachers will not embarrass students with good grades. He felt that if Wang Hai knew that he had made great progress, he shouldn't embarrass him either. This was something that Xiong Yu began to think about after vaguely noticing the change in Wang Hai's attitude towards him. But Xiong Yu was wrong. There are many kinds of teachers in this world. For example, most of the main subject teachers in Songyang High School like students with good grades, like students who are easy to teach and have a sense of teaching achievement, and are more tolerant of mistakes made by students with good grades. There are also some teachers who devote more energy to students with poor grades, focusing on improving the grades of poor students, because poor students are easier to improve. There are also many minor subject teachers who don't care how well students learn anyway. They just teach on time and get off work on time, and they would rather lose than waste one more second on work. But there is also a kind of teacher who sometimes cares more about whether students are obedient and whether they challenge his authority than the students' grades. In this kind of teacher's class, he is the absolute authority, does not accept any student's disobedience, and even if you just use a method he didn't teach to study, he will be ridiculed and satirized and pulled out as a typical example to be belittled. And it is obvious that Wang Hai, who likes to sell medicine and physically punish students, is this kind of teacher. The physical education class of Songyang High School is his little kingdom, and students are the channel for him to dump his medicine. Originally, Xiong Yu had been not buying medicine, which had already aroused his dissatisfaction. After seeing Xiong Yu lying down to slack off just now, he was even more dissatisfied and wanted to take the opportunity to teach the other party a lesson, set an example, and make the students ashamed of this person, who did not get injections in class and not learn from Xiong Yu to practice body training naturally. But his words of reprimand were blocked by Xiong Yu's sentence, "Body strengthening 36 forms broke through last night." In Wang Hai's opinion, this had already provoked his authority in the physical education class. Is it so great to be at level 2 of the body strengthening 36 forms? Wang Hai pointed at Bai Zhenjin and said, "Do you see her not getting injections after level 2, or slacking off in class?" Xiong Yu said helplessly, "Teacher, I don't mean that." Wang Hai said coldly, "Xiong Yu, I have seen many students like you. Relying on your talent, you don't listen to the teacher's guidance or care about the school's teaching. You must understand that the reason why you were able to break through is because you have been seriously attending class and getting injections for the past 3 months, and it was my guidance that laid a solid foundation for you. As for your self-study or tutoring outside, that can only be regarded as dessert at most. Only the classes in school are the most important main course. I will report your problem to your class teacher, so you should take care of yourself." Until the end of physical education class, Wang Hai ignored Xiong Yu, treating him as if he were a puff of air, and ceased to offer any guidance or instruction. Under Wang Hai's lead in isolating him, the other students also subconsciously avoided Zhang Yu, as if creating an invisible no man's land around him. That old Wang is really so petty. But with things as they were, Zhang Yu had no choice but to lie quietly on the ground and continue resting. In the blink of an eye, class was over, and everyone gradually headed to the cafeteria. After everyone had left, Zhu Tianyi walked to Zhang Yu's side and gave him a thumbs-up warrior. Have you bought your accident insurance yet? Zhang Yu slowly got up, patted his pants, and said, what's there to be afraid of? When my cultivation improves greatly in a while and my grades skyrocket, many teachers will protect me. He confidently looked at the feather script in his palm, his physical strength having increased from 0.83 to 0.84. This was without injections, medicine, or any dietary supplements, just training with the 36 forms of body strengthening. Presumably, as the level of the 36 forms of body strengthening continues to increase, the rate of improvement in physical strength will also become faster and faster. Just thinking about this, Zhang Yu couldn't help but marvel at the terrifying potential he possessed. Zhou Tianyi, who was watching Zhang Yu suddenly become confident, asked curiously, have you found a new source for drugs? Don't forget your brother if you have good stuff. Zhang Yu clenched his fist and smiled, kid, I'm naturally body refining. Outside the training room door, Bai Zhenjin, flesh from intense training, had sweat dripping from her forehead and steam rising from her body. Knock, knock, knock. She knocked on the door and said softly, Zhang Yu, are you done showing off? I'm hungry, let's go eat. The trio hurriedly joined the cafeteria rush, and seeing that they were late, they saw a large crowd queuing in front of the cafeteria entrance, from afar. However, as members of the demonstration class, Zhang Yu and his companions had the privilege of entering the cafeteria for meals with priority, allowing them to dine directly through the VIP channel. They entered the cafeteria under the gazes of many students from other classes, each with their own expressions. How should one describe that feeling? If Zhang Yu were to describe it, it would be like the inner sect geniuses in novels slowly entering the gathering immortal restaurant for a meal under the gazes of outer sect servants, filled with envy, jealousy, or a sense of potential replacement. Once inside the cafeteria, Bai Zhenjun said, I'm having a dietary supplement today. I'm going to eat on the second floor. So-called dietary supplements involve cooking, with ingredients full of immortal elements, supplemented with various medicines, which can effectively enhance physical fitness, compensate for the body's losses after strenuous exercise, and improve the efficiency of body refining and breathing exercises. It can be said that dietary supplements have countless benefits for immortal cultivation, and the only reason Zhang Yu didn't eat them at the moment was that they were too expensive, really too expensive. A meal costs at least several hundred, and more precious ingredients can easily cost thousands. Zhang Yu, who used to have money from loans, was reluctant to eat them every day, let alone the current Zhang Yu. Watching Bai Zhenjin walk up to the second floor alone, Zhang Yu could feel that the second floor of the cafeteria was another dividing line from the first floor, just like the queue inside and outside the cafeteria at this moment. But a hint of doubt arose in Zhang Yu's mind, isn't Ajin broke? How can she afford to go to the second floor? Not long after lunch, Zhang Yu, who was taking a nap, was called to the teacher's office. A middle-aged man took a sip of tea and glanced at Zhang Yu, who was standing in front of the desk, and said, Teacher Wang Hai told me about your matter. The man's name was Sahai Feng, who was not only the class teacher of the demonstration class, but also the grade director of the first year of high school. He looked at Zhang Yu with a disappointed expression and said, Do you remember what you told me during the interview? When the original Zhang Yu participated in the Songyang High School interview, Sahai Feng was the interviewer sitting in the middle. Hearing Sahai Feng's words at this moment, Zhang Yu was slightly stunned. Although he had merged with the original owner's memory, many details could not be recalled instantly. Sahai Feng sighed. I remember you said you wanted to go to a prestigious university. During physical education class, you neither bought medicine nor got injections, and you even lay on the ground and slacked off, arguing with the teacher. Is this your attitude towards wanting to go to a prestigious university? Listening to the other party's criticism, Zhang Yu didn't know how to explain it for a while. He couldn't say that he couldn't afford medicine or injections because he was poor and useless, and that he was just casually attending physical education class because his potential had been stimulated. Feeling Zhang Yu's silence, Sahai Feng sighed again and said, Zhang Yu, Your performance over the past 3 months has been good. I know you are a good boy. Has something happened to your family recently? Xiong Yu looked at the other party in surprise, feeling the concerned look in his eyes, and found it a little unbelievable there are teachers in this crazy school who actually care about students. He thought for a while and said softly, yes, I had some conflicts with my family. I will try my best to adjust and recover as soon as possible. Although he felt the other party's concern, Xiong Yu could only perfunctorily deal with it as soon as possible at the moment, and after a while, when his grades improved, he naturally wouldn't need to explain these difficult things to the teacher. So Haifeng frowned as if dissatisfied, and said angrily, what can you tell the teacher? Is there a recent economic problem in your family? The debt collection calls from the loan platform have already been made to the school. Ah. Xiong Yu suddenly raised his head. They called you, teacher? So Haifeng nodded solemnly, if they hadn't called me, I wouldn't have known you owed so much money. Why didn't you tell me? Xiong Yu. He really didn't think there was any use in telling the school about this kind of thing, especially with the atmosphere of Songyang High School. He estimated that knowing it would only make his situation worse. But Su Haifeng sighed and looked at Xiong Yu with a kind expression, and said, I know the school is sometimes stricter, and you are afraid to tell us when something happens. The most new small set is at 6-9 book bar first hair. But you have to know that we are your teachers after all. How can we not help our students? As he spoke, he took out a document from the drawer and handed it to Xiong Yu. This is the Poverty Student Subsidy Program that I specially applied for you. Please sign it quickly. Reaching out to take the document, Xiong Yu looked at Su Haifeng with some emotion. Teacher, thank you. He realized that his view of the school's teachers was wrong again. Xiong Yu thought to himself, although there are unreliable guys like Wang Hai, there are also kind elders like Teacher Su. Su Haifeng smiled and waved his hand, handing over the pen. Sign it quickly. Xiong Yu lowered his head, glanced at the document, and then froze in place. Su Haifeng chuckled and said, what's wrong? Sign it quickly, I'll try to hand it in for you before I get off work. Xiong Yu's voice was low. Teacher, this seems to be a debt restructuring contract. Did you take the wrong one? So Haifeng said with a smile, the reason why poor students are poor is because they owe debts. After restructuring the debts, wouldn't it help the poor students? This is the Poverty Student Subsidy Program. Xiong Yu estimated the debt after the debt restructuring. After various messy procedures, various interest, principal, handling fees, head-cutting interest, it seemed to have risen to more than 1 million. What debt restructuring? Isn't this just using loans to pay off loans? He roared in his heart. Even the class teacher is engaged in lending, right? Is this how you play? Are there no normal teachers in this broken school? Suppressing the anger in his heart, Xiong Yu breathed a sigh of relief, and said, Teacher, I think I'd better forget it. I can repay this money myself. So Haifeng kindly persuaded, how can you, a child, repay such a large sum of money? Sign it quickly, the school will take care of this matter for you. Don't worry, the school's installment plan is very flexible. Xiong Yu, no need, teacher, really no need. After Xiong Yu refused again and again, he simply threw the contract away, and ran out of the office. Watching his departing back, Su Haifeng raised his teacup, and gently blew on it. A moment later, he picked up the vibrating phone and said, he refused. Well, I'll try again in a while. Don't worry, poor people will eventually be unable to withstand the means of the collection company, and will always come to borrow. Listening to Audio Nova. That day after school. In the cafeteria. Xiong Yu, Zhu Tianyi, and Bai Zhenjin were sitting together, having dinner. Bai Zhenjin was still as cold and silent as usual, calmly devouring the large plate of food in front of her. Zhu Tianyi glanced at Xiong Yu and said, your recent financial situation is a bit rough. Is it that obvious? Xiong Yu was slightly stunned, wondering if the debt collection calls had already reached his classmates. Would the fact that he owed 700,000 be exposed at school? Zhu Tianyi glanced at Bai Zhenjin's lavish dinner, complete with chicken, duck, and fish, then at Xiong Yu's meager 5 yuan meal. He stroked his chin and said, based on my observations of the cafeteria over the past 3 months, what a person eats in the cafeteria can effectively reflect their financial situation, and even their cultivation level, during that period. For example, someone who eats 10 pounds of food in one meal won't sit at the same table as someone who eats 3 pounds. Because they are in completely different classes, located at the top and bottom of the campus food chain of contempt, respectively. So, it's because I'm eating less. Zhang Yu breathed a sigh of relief, thinking his identity as a super pauper was about to be exposed. He turned to look at Bai Zhenjin, staring at the dozen or so chicken legs in her rice bucket, and asked curiously, "Ah Zhen, these chicken legs look special. Can I have one?" Bai Zhenjin said without looking up, "Scram." Zhu Tianyi, who was next to him, smiled and picked a duck leg from his bowl for Zhang Yu. Zhenjin had a lot of exercise today, she must be starving. Try mine. Good brother. Zhang Yu gave Zhu Tianyi a thumbs up, grabbed the duck leg, and started gnawing on it. Zhu Tianyi looked at Zhang Yu's ravenous appearance, and smiled slightly. "If you encounter financial difficulties, I can lend you some money." Zhang Yu waved his hand and said, "No need, I'll figure it out myself." Although he was heavily in debt, Zhang Yu didn't plan to borrow money from his classmates, or rather, borrowing money from his classmates wouldn't solve the huge debt of 700,000 in one go. What he needed was a way to earn money continuously, and pay off the debt continuously. "At least I have to pay off the monthly interest, and I can't let the collection agency escalate its methods." Zhang Yu knew that as the time he was overdue increased, the collection company's methods would become more and more severe, from online insults to real-life actions, each step more serious than the last. And the rent, utilities, food expenses. Thinking of this, Zhang Yu felt a headache coming on. After Zhu Tianyi left, Bai Zhenjin suddenly said, "Based on my observations of you and Zhu Tianyi over the past 3 months, he's especially nice to you." "Zhang Yu is he?" Bai Zhenjin chuckled and said, a guy smiling and giving the duck leg in his bowl to another guy. "In my 18 years of life, I've only seen 2 situations where this happens. One, the two are father and son. The other, heh." Zhang Yu raised an eyebrow. "Zhen, you watch some pretty miscellaneous stuff." Bai Zhenjin Yuzi, "You don't have to be afraid. Anyway, in this school, you're the one with the initiative." Saying that, Bai Zhenjin pushed her plate in front of Zhang Yu. "Up, I can't eat anymore. I'll reward you with these leftovers since you're my good son." Scram. Zhang Yu grabbed the plate, and a glance revealed that the small portion of food inside was neatly arranged and untouched. Just as Zhang Yu raised his head to thank her, he only saw Bai Zhenjin's back as she left the cafeteria. Walking out of the cafeteria, Bai Zhenjin's gaze turned indifferent again. She thought to herself, "Yuzi, actually, there's a third situation where this happens." Bai Zhenjin turned to look at the steps at the entrance of the cafeteria, where a cafeteria ant was pouring the leftover food from the school bucket into a cat's bowl. Leaving school, Zhang Yu began planning how to earn money. "My rent is 1,500, utilities are about 200 a month, and the loan repayment is 15,000 a month." Hiss. Thinking of this, his head started to ache again. "I need to earn at least 20,000 a month. An ordinary job definitely won't cut it." With a thought, the feather book unfolded before Zhang Yu. Zhang Yu. Tao Heart Level 1. Mana 7.7. Physical Strength Level 0, 84. Martial Arts 36 Styles of Body Strengthening Level 2 Freehand, Combat Level 1, High School Basic Swordsmanship Level 0. Dao Techniques Basic Breathing Technique Level 1, Basic Mind Refining Technique Level 1. Seeing the newly appeared High School Basic Swordsmanship Level 0, Zhang Yu recalled today's martial arts class. The so-called martial arts class was a course to learn various fighting and combat martial arts. Practical combat accounted for 80% of the 100 points in martial arts class. Like, the first year of high school requires learning a practical and armed martial art and a practical weapon-based martial art. And this high school basic swordsmanship was what he learned in today's martial arts class, but it still showed level 0 probably because he hadn't really mastered it. But Zhang Yu tried it a little and found that this high school basic swordsmanship level 0 could also be dragged. He estimated that if he specialized in this martial art, he could quickly master it and level it up quickly with his potential. These thoughts flashed quickly through his mind, and Zhang Yu continued to stare at his panel, thinking about what kind of work he could do. "Although I just embarked on the path of cultivation not long ago, I am still a formal student of Songyang High School." After a moment, Zhang Yu began to contact his former tutoring center with his phone. The original Zhang Yu had entered Songyang High School after tutoring at this tutoring center. "The income of this kind of tutoring center should be good, and I am a formal student of Songyang High School, so I should have an advantage." But after he inquired, the teacher at the tutoring center said that they were already full and told him to try other tutoring centers. So Zhang Yu contacted other tutoring centers. Hello, I want to be a part-time tutor. I'm a first-year student at Songyang High School. Where did you graduate from elementary school and junior high school? No, I'm already a formal student at Songyang High School. Sorry, because there are also many tutors with key high school diplomas. If a first-year high school student, like you, comes to work part-time, parents will value your first and second diplomas before high school. After learning about Zhang Yu's elementary school and junior high school, the other party didn't reply again. And after repeating the above conversation 5 or 6 times, Zhang Yu gradually understood. Damn it. Are the requirements for the first and second diplomas so high? Is the competition for tutoring teachers so fierce now? The latest novels are first published on Liu Nine Shubier. Zhang Yu felt that his elementary school diploma and junior high school diploma were like two ugly labels deeply printed on his face, making it extremely difficult for him to even find a part-time tutoring job. So Zhang Yu had to temporarily abandon the tutoring center route and try another backup plan. I can only try doing odd jobs first. Regarding the path of doing odd jobs, the original Zhang Yu had also learned about it in the 3 months since the start of school. Of course, the temporary jobs mentioned here are not the temporary jobs found by ordinary people, but the temporary jobs found by people who have already embarked on the path of immortality. Like, high school students account for a large proportion in this group. After all, not every high school student is a rich brother, and a considerable number of high school students need to earn money themselves in order to reduce the burden on their families or to buy some things they want. And because high school students neither have a high school diploma and most of the time they need to attend classes, they often can only work part-time in some temporary jobs. Zhang Yu had also learned a little about this path in the past 2 days, and immediately added a middleman and asked if there was any work to do now. You're too late to ask, today's jobs have all been taken for the time being. Why don't you come here and wait? You can grab a new job directly. Half an hour later, Zhang Yu came to a small square. From a distance, he saw many people scattered around the square, sitting or lying down. Among these people, there were old and young, men and women. Some just lay on the ground to take a nap, and some were still wearing school uniforms and meditating cross-legged. According to the address given by the other party, Zhang Yu found a human resources company in the corner of the square. The company was not big, and the facade looked like a real estate agency. The dirty glass was covered with various simple recruitment advertisements. Taking a look at the old signboard, Zhang Yu just pushed the door open, and a strong smell of smoke rushed over him, making him frown. Behind the messy desk, a middle-aged man who was smoking raised his head, glanced at Zhang Yu, and said, "Are you the high school student who just consulted?" Seeing Zhang Yu nod, the man introduced himself as Liao Wang, a middleman here. He took out a few pieces of paper and said, "Fill out the resume, and I'll register it for you later." Zhang Yu took it and saw that in addition to some information, he also had to fill in the martial arts and Taoist techniques he had learned, and their levels, as well as his grades in school. After handing the completed form to the other party, Zhang Yu asked, "How long does it usually take to find a job? How is the income?" Lao Wang scratched his messy hair and said casually, "The minimum is also several hundred yuan per hour. But it's hard to say how long it will take to find one. It's normal to have no work for a week, if you're unlucky." Zhang Yu thought, is the income of this job so high? If that's the case, wouldn't working 2 or 3 hours a day be enough to pay off the loan and living expenses? Thinking of this, Zhang Yu was overjoyed. But then he heard the other party say that the job was not easy to find, so he asked curiously, why? He emphasized his identity. "I'm in the top 10 of the first year of Key High School. Is it also difficult to find?" Lao Wang smiled when he heard this, and pointed outside, and said, "Did you see those people in the square? Except for high school students like you, the rest are all high school graduates." Zhang Yu was shocked when he heard this, and then didn't believe it. How is that possible? After graduating from high school, they have cultivated immortality and still come here to find temporary workers. Liao Wang shrugged. They didn't get into college. Not every high school student can get into college. If you can't get into college, you'll be in the key refining stage for the rest of your life, and you won't be able to go to the second layer of Kungshu, so you can only mix in this first layer year after year. Zhang Yu still didn't understand. Then you can find a formal job on the first layer. Why come to do temporary work? Liao Wang explained they don't need to sleep. After finishing their daytime work, if the company doesn't work overtime, they'll come to find some temporary work to do. Otherwise, how can they pay off the loan? And how can they have enough money to maintain their cultivation? The other party's words set off a wave in Zhang Yu's heart. He didn't know that high school graduates were so hard, in his previous memory. I only thought that after graduating from high school, even if they didn't get into college, they would sit in the office in the skyscraper in the city center every day, blowing on the air conditioner, drinking tea, and getting a decent salary. As a result, good fellow, studying 24 hours before graduation, and working 24 hours after graduation, the more you eat bitterness, the more it is, right? Liao Wang looked at Zhang Yu's resume, and smiled. Yo, Songyang High School, then we are alumni. I am also from Songyang High School, but I dropped out in the 3rd year of high school. Zhang Yu dropped out. Liao Wang shrugged. I couldn't get into college, so I simply didn't waste money. I just paid off the loan I owed in high school the year before. For the sake of being alumni, I'll give you a suggestion. Do what you can in high school, and if you feel like you can't get into college, withdraw early, so as not to owe too much debt like some people, and ruin your life. After filling out the information, the other party asked Zhang Yu to wait outside, and they would notify him immediately if there was any work. Zhang Yu competing with those high school graduates, can I get a job? Liao Wang, don't worry, some jobs are specifically looking for high school students. Casually finding a spot to sit down, Zhang Yu felt a wave of exhaustion wash over him as he watched the crowd of people in the square waiting for work. This damn place is too hard to survive in. Is there nowhere that isn't so competitive? Having just sat down on the ground to rest for a moment, a chilling sensation surged from Zhang Yu's heart. Please abide by the ritual agreement, strive to fulfill your wish, and do not deliberately slack off or delay. 10. Damn it. Zhang Yu cursed inwardly, but he could only force himself to be competitive under the pressure of the ritual's power. However, considering that his physical condition had not yet recovered, and the upcoming work might require physical strength, Zhang Yu did not choose to practice the 36 styles of body strengthening at this moment, but instead chose to refine his mana, using the basic ki refining method. Between his breaths, wisps of spiritual energy quickly surged from the heavens and earth, gradually gathering in his dantian ki si, where they were refined bit by bit into a part of his mana. Time slowly passed as Zhang Yu breathed in and out, reaching the 1 hour mark. During this hour, 3 groups of people had come to recruit workers, some to hire temporary security personnel, some construction sites urgently needed cultivators to do heavy work, and some express delivery companies hired cultivators to sort packages. Zhang Yu gradually realized that most temporary jobs hiring key refining stage cultivators were almost always related to physical labor. After all, key refining stage cultivators did not have a qualitative difference in intelligence and knowledge compared to mortals. On the contrary, their physical qualities were unmatched, capable of performing exceptionally well in construction sites, factories, security, and other jobs, with production efficiency far exceeding ordinary mortals. Therefore, many places that needed to urgently increase manpower would come to hire cultivators. Although the remuneration required by cultivators far exceeded that of ordinary people, it was still cost-effective in the long run. After all, if a cultivator could do the work of 30 ordinary people, they would usually only need to be paid 10 times as much. And the people waiting in this square could be described as super workaholics who could persist in working 007. Compared to them, Zhang Yu, who still needed to sleep 4 or 5 hours a day, was just an ordinary high school student who could still sleep in. Therefore, after taking a look at the spectacle of a large group of people squeeze to snatch jobs, Zhang Yu always maintained his key refining state, and did not go up to compete with others. He knew that in his current state as a first-year high school student, he could not possibly compete with those high school students who had already graduated. He was waiting for the work that old Wang had mentioned, specifically for high school students. Like Zhang Yu, there were several other high school students, some reading, some practicing key refining, some boxing, and none of them went up to compete for job opportunities, but just waited silently. In the blink of an eye, another hour passed. Paw, 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 accompanied by a series of slight popping sounds in the air. Feeling that his physical body had rested enough, Zhang Yu began to practice the 36 styles of body strengthening. The people around him glanced at him, and then ignored him. There were too many people who practice while waiting for work, and the 36 styles of body strengthening, as a basic exercise, could not attract the attention of the people around him. 36 styles of body strengthening level 2. 36 styles of body strengthening level 2. Although Xiong Yu felt his muscles start to ache after practicing the 36 styles of body strengthening twice, his spirits became more and more invigorated, just because he could upgrade the 36 styles of body strengthening to level 3 with one more practice. This was something that even Bai Zhenjin, who was the first in the grade, had not been able to do. And he could do it in just 2 days. Just as Xiong Yu was practicing the third round of the 36 styles of body strengthening, a temporary job requiring high school students finally arrived. A car drove up to the square, the window rolled down, and the driver shouted from inside the car, "Are there any first or second year high school students hiring to martial arts sparring partners?" The so-called martial arts sparring partner is when a cultivator is conducting martial arts combat training and finds someone to accompany them in training according to certain requirements. Hearing the driver's words, the high school students who were originally quietly waiting in the square all moved, drawing one by one of after images in the air, rushing to the car with bursts of wind and thunder. "I'm a second-year student. My physical strength is level 2.15. The second-year students were far ahead of the first-year students in terms of physical strength. When Xiong Yu rushed over, he found that the positions in front of the driver were almost all occupied by big guys, making it impossible for him to squeeze in. Xiong Yu thought, so many people are rushing to get beaten up, do they have any self-respect as high school students? The driver glanced at the many students raising their hands in front of him and said, "Are there any from key high schools?" The number of people raising their hands suddenly dropped by more than half. Xiong Yu quickly raised his hand, "I'm from Songyang High School." The driver then asked, "Are there any with level 3 or above in practical martial arts?" Looking at the remaining 3 people, the driver asked again, 300 an hour. Are you willing to do it?" A student with a buzz cut said dissatisfiedly, 300 is too little, right? But he saw another student next to him hurriedly say, 300, I'll do it. Watching the car speed away after the other party got in, the buzz cut student cursed 300 an hour, really can TM think of it. Want to hire someone for practical sparring for 300? Why hire a sparring partner if you can't afford it? Someone followed suit, and cursed took 300. Scab. When that kid gets injured, he'll know that 300 is not enough for medical expenses. And as the employer left, the students around also dispersed after a burst of cursing, and continued to practice and study. Xiong Yu could only go back and continue to practice the 36 styles of body strengthening. According to the current trend, he felt that he might not be able to find a job today. A little over 10 minutes later, more people arrived in cars to recruit high school students, specifically requesting freshmen. However, this time the job involved drug testing, supposedly to test the latest drugs developed in a laboratory for beginner cultivators. Xiong Yu considered his physical condition, and didn't bother to apply, instead continuing his 20th repetition of the 36 form body strengthening exercise. A moment later, with a cracking sound, Xiong Yu completed the final punch of the 36 form body strengthening exercise, successfully raising the skill to the third level. 36 form body strengthening level 3. At that moment, countless memories of practicing the 36 form body strengthening exercise flooded into Xiong Yu's mind, making him feel as if he had practiced it thousands of times. Among these practices, there were not only pure flesh and blood memories, but also memories of faint traces of mana circulating within his body. The 36 form body strengthening exercise has reached the third level. While practicing this martial art, you can stimulate the circulation of mana in your body, accelerating the repair and strengthening of your physical body. If the first and second levels of the 36 form body strengthening exercise only damage the flesh and blood during the exercise, forcibly squeezing out the mana in the body to participate in the exercise, then reaching the third level of the 36 form body strengthening exercise meant that the movements drove the mana to flow back and forth throughout the body, constantly nourishing the flesh and blood while exercising, greatly improving the exercise effect. At this moment, as Xiong Yu began a new round of the 36 form body strengthening exercise, streams of warm currents flowed through his limbs with his movements, silently increasing the strength of his physical body, allowing him to gradually transform from an ordinary person to a superhuman. Under the nourishment of the warm currents, the originally sore and aching flesh and blood seemed to become much lighter, allowing Zhang Yu to persevere in his exercise more easily. Suddenly, Zhang Yu felt a burst of contraction and expansion in the flesh and blood all over his body. Physical strength level 0, 84 0, 85. Glancing at the change in physical strength on the feather book, a hint of joy flashed in Zhang Yu's eyes. Even without the urging of the ritual power, he was invigorated and continued to exercise. While Zhang Yu was practicing the 36-form body strengthening exercise, the recruitment for drug testing continued on the other side. However, facing such a job as drug testing, not many freshmen were willing to try. Although the recruiters wanted to recruit 5 students, they only managed to recruit 2 after shouting for a long time before leaving. In the following time, the night gradually deepened, and fewer employers came to recruit people. Zhang Yu still hadn't found a job opportunity, and could only continue to practice the 36-form body strengthening exercise. 36-form body strengthening level 3. When Zhang Yu practiced the 36-form body strengthening exercise for the 6th time, he felt that he couldn't wait any longer. Zhang Yu entered the human resources company and saw Lao Wang still sitting behind that desk, as if he hadn't moved in the past few hours. He took out a pack of cigarettes he had bought, handed it to the other party, and then asked, "Brother Wang, is there any work I can do?" Lao Wang glanced at the cigarette Zhang Yu handed over and said casually, "Didn't I say that? They'll call outside if there's any work." Zhang Yu didn't give up and said, "I mean besides these outside. It's impossible for temporary jobs in the entire Xiong city to drive here to recruit people, right? Is there anything else?" Liao Wang was pestered by Zhang Yu for a while and said impatiently, "Don't you believe me? Look for yourself. It's not that I won't let you do it, but are other temporary jobs so easy to do?" Zhang Yu looked at a screenshot sent to the other party's phone, with a row of long-term recruitment jobs listed in various sizes. Some involve participating in long-term drug testing after signing a contract. Some involve participating in cultivation method research as test subjects for a long time. Some involve going deep into the Kongshu underground as helpers for exploration teams. There were also those who cooperated with the police to crack down on criminals. Looking at these jobs, Zhang Yu felt that they were either too dangerous or both dangerous and impossible to do. These long-term recruitment jobs that can't be filled are indeed all traps. Suddenly, Zhang Yu looked at one of them and asked, "Brother Wang, is there any danger in participating in cultivation method research?" Lao Wang said casually, "It's just letting you be the person to test the exercises, testing the latest cultivation methods developed by those big companies. They record what side effects you have, what injuries you suffer, where you are disabled, and how you eventually die during your cultivation." Zhang Yu swallowed, then his eyes suddenly moved, looking at another temporary job and asked, "What about this introductory exercise testing? 10,000 yuan per test. Why only recruit freshmen?" Liao Wang thought for a while, then said, "Oh, that. It seems that Xianyun Group has developed a skill that has already been tested through cultivation and has no side effects and won't kill anyone. But the introductory process is too difficult, and it's easy to get internal injuries if you can't practice it, so they've been looking for people to test it. Because it's a cultivation method that's going to be sold to beginner cultivators, they specifically looked for freshmen to test it." Speaking of this, he looked at Zhang Yu, who was listening carefully, and frowned. "You wouldn't want to do this, would you? Last time, a student went and his mono went out of control, suffered internal injuries, and took 2 weeks off from school, and hasn't recovered yet. This 10,000 yuan is not easy to earn." Zhang Yu shrugged helplessly. "There's no way, I need money urgently, so I can only try." That's it for today's chapter. Don't forget to like and follow so you won't miss the next update. Thank you all for listening.